Thank you, Scott. Again, my name is Peter Funke. I am a sales leader for workplaceON, based in Raleigh, North Carolina. Longtime IBMer, 35 plus years in IBM, and after my departure from IBM, started looking for the best way that I could see to build teamwork using software. Spent my career doing that, and in that process, discovered the workplaceON team and their offering. I'm delighted to be part of that team. I'd like to introduce to you the two key players today that will be presenting. First, going from the bottom up, I guess, Jan Zuffen is the leader for the architecture for workplaceON and the visionary for the offering. Jan's background, he started with PricewaterhouseCoopers and had a very successful career there in the consulting field, unfortunately one that involved a lot of travel. And Jan, being committed and close to customers, he elected to stay home and serve customers in Europe. He's developed a wonderful practice, starting initially with Domino, expanding into X Pages, and most recently into Connections. So he's now got a nice collection of very satisfied clients in Europe, and we're spreading those into the United States, North America now, Latin America, and worldwide. So we'll be turning it over to Jan in a bit, but before we get to Jan, more important than the technology is how it's applied. And without business value, technology is not worth a lot. Thankfully, Jan was able to engage through another colleague, Simon Vaughan, in the UK with the Mears Group. You'll get an introduction to Mears, but let's suffice to say it's the most successful, probably most successful connections deployment in IBM in terms of penetration and adoption, and a large part that's due to the leadership of Matthew Packer. So Matt started with Mears about 7 years ago after a career in web development, moved more aggressively when he joined Mears into application development, user-centered design, user journey, getting heavily into requirements and how to bring satisfaction end users while keeping executive sponsorship keen as well. So he's done a tremendous job of leading this effort, essentially rescuing a project that was to some extent adrift, while at the same time stepping up to some very significant initiatives at Mears, and a very exciting story there. Let me clear the agenda first, and then we'll hand it over to Matt so he can give you the background. Can you advance the slide, Jan? So Matt's going to cover the first three topics. We'll get about 20 minutes on Mears, the Mears story, the background, the issues. And as you listen to this, our primary interest is to help you succeed. So think about what's your constraints, what are your pain points, what are your inhibitors that are keeping your projects and your end users from being satisfied, and just dump those into the chat session, and you'll find, I think, a very able response. If Matt doesn't respond directly in his presentation, we'll come back at the end and make sure all your issues and concerns are addressed. But clearly understanding the organization and business value is how you get started. Keeping the sponsorship and ultimately the employee engagement is the critical path. So Matt will give us background on Mears, how they came to the investment decision for MearsConnect, and then an overview of it at a high level. And then, just because I think everybody likes to see reality, we thought it would be imperative to get you a demonstration as well. We have some very exciting new news in our workplaceON platform, particularly related to integration. And so we've asked Jan if he could present essentially what the issues are in a dialogue with Matt, but also show you exactly how we responded using this very able, I'll say, depth and light framework for making social intranets much more compelling. So we'll cover that, and we'll wrap up again with your questions as they're presented in the chat. Of course, it'll be interactive as well. We have an hour. Time will go fast. With that, I'll hand it off to you, Matt. Take it away.
Thank you, Peter. Hi, everyone. So, yeah, as before, my name's Matthew, and I work at Mears Group PLC. So I thought I'd give you a background into who we actually are. So if we move on to that next slide. So Mears are the leading UK social housing repairs and maintenance provider. We also have a major presence in home healthcare in the UK, and to be fair, we probably are one of the largest now. We have more than that, though. We also have student accommodation, which is quite important to us at the moment, and we're also putting our toes into new homes and new builds. We are a local and family first business. It's a small company that started, and we've grown to a large scale, and we deliver the highest standards of care to people. We care about their homes and their environment. And currently we have 20,000 people in basically every region of the UK. So moving on to the next slide, a little bit more about how that's broken down. Our social housing team deliver excess of 10,000 repairs every day. Obviously, all of those being remote. We have 1 million homes nationwide. And our care team deliver 180,000 hours of care support each week on behalf of 127 local authorities. So we've got a lot of data and information going backwards and forwards, and a lot of people out there, I think, is the message that we're trying to say. So moving forward to the next slide. We have some key business areas that from a comms point of view we needed to get through, and from an IT point of view we needed to achieve as well. And that's getting everyone connected into a platform. As I said before, we've got 20,000 people that have access to a mobile phone, and 16,000 of those don't actually have email. So that's quite a big issue there straight away. One of the main things that we do as an internal comms tool is actually have a daily message that goes out about different things that are happening within the business and all those exciting things. Unfortunately, if you haven't got an email, you have no way of accessing those. So they were one of the key things, is actually getting that message out to people. Gaining youth and new behavior. So this is actually getting people to change the way that they work and actually engage themselves. Not just our message going out, but that message coming back as well. And then expanding the value, payback and investment. So rich media, newsletters, blogs, photos, all of that. We can talk and we can put that message out to the business as much as possible, but unless we do it in a rich and engaging way, we find there's quite a high drop off there. So we move to the next slide there. So where are we today? So we've got 20,000 Connections account. We've got 4,000 Lotus Notes accounts. They've been migrated to Connections Cloud using Verse. Domino applications in the business are being converted into X pages. 16,000 employees with access to collaboration, which means no email for these, just people collaborating access. We're rolling out same time connections to all employees. We currently have project exec and on-time calendar within our connections, and we've migrated all SharePoint content to Connections Cloud. So moving forward. So we put connections in, and this is exactly what we wanted to happen. A massive uptake. We're going to have, this was going to be it. We were going to have people interacting and everything was going to be great. But that's not exactly how it happened. So moving on to the next slide, we actually found out that we started to drop off and drop off. It wasn't that the tool wasn't sort of capable. All of those functions are certainly within the platform. But one of the main messages and what hit home to me was the first time that someone said, if we move on to the next slide, this is my MearsConnect. This is Connections for me. And they showed me, and it was this. They had no information. They weren't following anyone. They weren't joined into multiple groups. It didn't look particularly nice. I think that's a fair statement to make. So we went and had a look in the background there. And if you move on to the next slide, obviously within Connections there are themes that can be applied. I mean, we can certainly make it appear slightly nicer. That blue theme and everything is definitely nicer. But one of the things that was certainly still missing was it was over complex and very difficult for people to actually still understand what all of these were. What was a wiki? What was a bookmark? What are these forums? It became very overwhelming. So we knew we needed a better solution. So luckily we spoke with Simon, Vaughan, and Jan, and they came up with the solution for us, which was MearsConnect. So if we move on to the next slide, and then, to be fair, into the next slide as well. So this is what was presented to us as our solution. The thing about MearsConnect for us is the fact that what it is, it fed more than just connections into the system. So we had our email, we had all of the good stuff from connections, those blogs, those status updates, that file sharing. But also we had, if you see the screen here, we had X pages integration. So we have as Mears, what we do is we collect a lot of good news stories. We have a lot of good news stories that we hear from all of those customers, and we want to share those throughout the business. So we actually have an X pages application that's built into this that as those come in, they get presented through this system. And there was no way we could get that information out before. Again, it used to just be an email summary that went out. But one of the key things that were really important to us is that we had an old-fashioned intranet that no one had looked at for years. You know, intranet's kind of dead. And the one thing about that was that we could actually integrate connections, all the good stuff from connections. We could integrate BBC News feed. We could integrate Twitter, and we've got our RSS feeds from our recruitment as well going through there. And it was the answer. It was that complete package of all of these feeds bumping into this that actually made connections then a much more useful. You might not want to go in and read blogs, but you do want to go in and find out about recruitment. And while you're there, you might see a status update that takes you down a further journey. So that was definitely the reason when we saw that what this solution could do, we started exploring it, and quickly we realized that that's definitely the solution for us. So moving forward, this is a closer look of how MearsConnect looks for us today. So we've got our website, which is quite engaging and compelling. We've got that nice sort of kind of Facebook instant status update, what's happening. We've got our daily Mears Matters, which is what I alluded to at the beginning, which was that daily message that we could only send out via email before. That's front and center here now. We've got our jobs that are coming up. So any of those, we're not only showing the external jobs that we advertise there, we're actually showing internal and external jobs as well. So that's really nice. We really push in Twitter and social media at the moment. So we see that that's a good thing to also bring into the business and show the staff what we're actually talking about externally. And we've got the BBC News, because that's a nice way for people to come in, even if they don't want to hear all of the other corporate things that we want to say, they can use it as their news feed as well, and then hopefully we'll engage them as well. Everything that you see there is available on mobile, so it's a responsive site. So as much as you get a different look and feel on mobile, all of that content remains, or you can drop content off accordingly. And then also recently, very recently, we've actually deployed an app through the Android Google Play Store. We've actually pushed it down because we actually have remote devices as well. But if you don't have a remote device, you know, you can just download it from the Play Store. And then the app is having that actually on the phone. There's a big difference between what we found in getting the message out to our users is that if you say to someone, go to a web page on a mobile, to go to an app on a mobile, there's a definite difference in adoption, that if you have an app, it feels strong and it feels stable. So having that's been a real good resource to us as well. So moving on to the next slide. These were the issues that we had. So I've alluded to some of these already, but attaching everyone to the platform and getting connected. So I said that we had these mobile users out there, and getting them onto MearsConnect was really important to us. So that responsive design in the app was imperative. Making the page relevant and fresh, that personalization. So we can actually, based on, at the beginning I said we have care, we have social housing, we have new homes, and we have the student. All of those have profiles built around them on the workplace system that allows to see different apps, different pages based on their role. And again, those pages have feeds from Twitter, connections, apps, etc., etc. So you get a very tailored appeal each there. And the other one was making it as easy as possible for someone to actually use this system. So I showed you that screen at the beginning where connections, you had like sort of a barren wasteland of nothing until you start to go in and follow things. Well, that was the one barrier that really pushed me off on this initially. Was, yeah, it's all good taking someone into IT or comms or someone who's used to computers, but we have plumbers, builders, care workers that maybe their IT levels aren't up at what we would imagine, and telling them to go and fill a profile in and put all of that rich information in is a no-go before you start. So we needed a solution, and I think I'm going to hand over to Jan to walk through that onboarding solution now.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
So let me switch to my browser here. So we're showing the demo version on the workplaceON platform for the onboarding. So what Matt also has talked about is that the Mears Group is Connections on Cloud. So first of all users have a cloud account as well. So when you start your onboarding journey, the first time you log in, onboarding will sense if you have been through onboarding before, but not only onboarding itself, but also this version of onboarding, the onboarding sequencer. So when I log into my MearsConnect, I'll be redirected to my onboarding sequence. So when I get to this, first of all, I will see a nice introduction screen to what is this all about. And I have introduction text, and then I can click Get Started. So now up here, there's a progress indicator. So there's 8 steps in this onboarding process. So I'll click Get Started. And the first step is to view a YouTube video that's been put in here, or any other video. So when I've done seeing that video, I can move to my next slide. So here we have the profile from the connections profile. So here I can upload a new profile image. I can see review my existing profile information. If I've been through onboarding before or is already in the profile, of course it's populated with that information, but even from here I can easily go and change that information. And now I change to a new location, New York, and then I'll just click Next. So as I click Next, that information is already stored in the backend of the connections environment. So the next step is, what business areas are you interested in? And that actually translates into communities, public communities that has a certain tag. In this case, is onboarding. So I can easily go in here and can say I'm interested or know something about these items here. So now when I click Next, I'll actually become a member of these communities. The next step is, what groups are you interested in? So groups are actually tags that I can add to my personal profile. So it could be areas of interest or skills. So if I know something about HR, I know something about marketing and customer success. I'll click this, I click Next. So now the system is using that information that I put in about the tags on my profile to find like-minded people. So it's actually going and doing a search against the Connections Cloud environment, finding these people that has the similar tags, and now I can start communicating or create a contact or a network with these people. So maybe I'm not that familiar with these people, or right now I don't have time to go and select somebody, so just click Next. Well, tough luck. You need to select at least one person in order to start your networking. So now I've already populated a lot of information back to the connections environment. So I've become member of public communities. I've added tags to my personal profile, and also I have connected with like-minded people. So before I proceed, I also need to accept our social media policy. So these are the policies that I need to click on. Can I skip this step? No, I need to go and open up these documents here. You can also easily view that I already clicked that previous policy. So now I can click I agree. So now I've been through my onboarding process, and I can click Next, and that will take me back to my workplaceON experience. So this is the home page for my workplaceON or for my MearsConnect. So we actually did this at Mears, and I remember that we onboarded 900 people in just one day, and none of them had a profile photo at the beginning. So Matt, is there any other features that you see in MearsConnect?
Yeah, so so I just want to kind of reiterate that for Jan, is that until we had that onboarding process there, it was still a very difficult solution. So as much as the workplaceON system worked there for us, you would still have to go into Connections. The second that we put that in, we were at a conference and we said to everyone, you know, we've got this new system in, and we couldn't believe quite how many people actually had onboarded, and the feedback was good, that it was just that, what you would expect, not anything other than this is how I expect to use an app, and that those words are extremely important to us. So we're really happy with that. So I'll move on. Gaining use and new behavior. So gaining adoption. This is quite important. Pinning favorites, keeping them in one container. We use SSO through this. So MearsConnect has now actually become our launch pad to everything else. We have Workday, ServiceNow, some other solutions that we have in. Once you've logged into MearsConnect, you go to your apps page, and then from there you go out and you use all these systems, and you're already logged in. Doing that actually made the adoption as well for MearsConnect even better, because it was that place that you went, and while you were there to go and hop off to another app, you caught a status update, etc. Access from one place to X Pages and Domino Investments. I spoke about the feedback that we have from the customer success stories, and add in branding and direct communications. I mean, that's massive, obviously, for myself, is getting that communications, that daily Mears Matters, those news stories. We request news stories now through MearsConnect, and we see those likes and those comments come in. It was National Cupcake Week last week. Obviously, you can imagine we have all of these branches out. It's to raise awareness for dementia. So all of these branches all out there posting their photos and their stories, and us bringing it in as a communications tool was a real win for us this last couple of weeks. But I'll hand over to Jan to walk through some of those.
Thank you, Matt, and I'll switch back to my demo again here. So when I get to my homepage for my workplaceON, I have here my navigation up here to the cloud environment. So as a power user, I can easily go up and I can switch to my Connections environment and go into Connections as I usually do. So when I go down here, as you see here, we have the activity stream. So here I can easily post, I can update, I can like. But then in the workplaceON, we're also expanding on that functionality. So an HR manager would like to publish information to multiple groups of people at one time using Connections. So instead of going into each community one by one, I now have a share button, so I can easily click these 3 communities, save this, and then I click my post and post to those communities. Remember to put in the timesheets, for instance. So Matt talked about news stories and blog entries. So what we have here on the home page is actually a blog entry from a specific community. So here I'll put in my my blog entry on the home page, and if I'm one of the operatives and I'm using a mobile phone to view this blog entry, I can go in here and I can see my news item. I can click a more button. I can read the full story, and then I can see the comments and I can like all here from my mobile phone without leaving this experience. So Matt also talked about the newsletter. So if I go in here to my newsletter, like this. So again, here we're seeing a page that consists of blog entries from multiple blogs into a newsletter or e-magazine style. So here I have the different items, different blogs, and again I can open up and read the full story. I can click like, and I can comment. So if I go back to my full experience on a desktop, you see here that I have different views or different designs for my blog entries. So I can choose that this blog entry should be my main story, and the blog entries over here should be sort of like an article style type of blog entries, all on one page. And by the way, down here I even put in a little poll or a little survey from an ideation blog about some different questions. So reusing my investments with workplaceON is pretty easy. So I can easily populate information, as you see here, from my Connections environment, from my social media, from my Domino applications. I put that in as well. And I could also use my other platforms that I have in my company. So for instance, if I have deployed something like Jira or Box or other kinds of enterprise platforms, I can even surface that now through collaboration with App Fusions. So workplaceON will now support the App Fusions App Spokes component. So I can easily go in here and I can click here, and that will take me to my Jira Scrum board. So this is actually a way of integrating enterprise platforms into the workplaceON platform and gaining that maximum value of your investments. So here you see here I have my Scrum board from Jira, and I can go in, I can work with my Scrum board as I usually do from a browser here in workplaceON. And I can go to my Confluence wiki as well, another example of this App Spokes integration. So you see here we are staying inside the same user experience. We're not leaving the platform, and we're using the different integrations. Or if I went to an area where I have all my files, so I have one page of files from my cloud experience, from my workplaceON, and from my Box as well. So all of this is something you can surface within the workplaceON platform, all on a mobile and responsive design. So back to you, Matt.
Yeah, thanks. So I just want to kind of reiterate the newsletter there. That was one of the things we were actually paying a third party quite a rate for a digital magazine, and when we found out that, when we spoke to Jan and he actually came up with that solution, that's something that we use daily. We also have a side panel on what Jan said there. We have an additional side panel because we host a lot of events. So we use that side panel to show those events, show the photos coming in and those status updates. So you have a newsletter page, which is 2/3, and then the third on the side is the live updates. They're really important to us, and that's one of the highest traffic on the website. So moving on to my final key point here is expanding that value, and it's that payback on investment. So it's that what's in it for the stakeholders, and the use of metrics and the replacement of legacy methods. So that getting rid of that digital newsletter, getting the daily Mears Matters. We used to have a print magazine as well, which we no longer have the need for. So the costs that we've actually saved on reducing those have been vast. And then being able to actually report back to the board on the actual uptake has been really easy for us. So I'll hand back over to Jan to do that final demo there.
Thank you, Matt. And as I go back into my workplaceON experience here, as you see, I can go to my homepage. And again, if I'm using this from a mobile device, so this would be my design on my mobile, or this is also the design from my app that Mears has created. So if I go in here and we can view different kinds of content or different kinds of way of using the connections APIs, the connection services. So for instance, here I have a branding area. So under branding, I have a little application called the Connectogram. This is actually something that we are expanding on for different kind of business cases, like a plumber gets to a boiler room, he sees a problem, and he immediately can take a picture of that boiler and publish this into a forum. And then other plumbers can come in and help him solve this problem. So what I have here on my photo wall is a small example of this. So when I come in here, I open up either use my camera or my library, I take a picture, put that in, put it in a comment. In this case, it's a nice machine, and I share this. So now this is actually stored back into a community and also being tagged with something that a tag that I put up when I installed this little widget here on this page. Going back to my home page. I'll go back to the full experience like this. So other different features that we have in workplaceON is a way of pinning your communities. So communities is, well, the list doesn't always stay the same. So this is the list of communities that I'm a member of. And it's not the same as it was 2 hours ago because something got updated. So now I can create my own custom list like this. And then these are the communities that I am a member of that I'm working with right now, and this list doesn't change. It always stays the same. And as I said, we also have the forums. So in a forum, I can post an update. I can view all my different comments. I can submit a picture into that forum. As I said, the business case of a plumber getting to a problem in a boiler room, posting an image into a forum, and other people can come in and they can help him solve this problem. All from within the workplaceON platform. So back to you, Matt. You have some metrics.
Matt, we can't hear you.
Matt, your microphone is on mute. Okay, now can you?
Yeah.
Yeah, can everyone hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Yeah, great. Sorry, if you just pop onto the next slide. So this is some of the real world actual applications that we're using. So I spoke about the app launcher using single sign-on. So that third hand in. That's all of those apps that we have, and those ones that are those single sign-on. So you've gone into MearsConnect, you've gone to My Apps, and from here we use that as that gateway out. Also, we're trialing in a small area at the moment with a couple of users. That example that Jan mentioned about posting a photo into a blog, and actually using that as use. So how we see that is we have a certain amount of fixes that we have to complete in a day. Say a plumber has to go and do 10 in a day. All of those have a set time against them, obviously time and cost accordingly. One of the things that we want to do is those small fixes that Dave tells Bob, that tells Andrew, they normally get sent by a text message, and that information gets lost. So we had the idea of being able to share those information out. So a quick fix that might be that this door needs a Phillips head. If you go into that, we can put that in a blog. People can comment on those. We can then share that and push that information up so it's actually a fact. And we're looking at taking that another step and actually taking some of that data out, because the system allows us to take data out as well, and then potentially send that down with the next job. So next time someone goes and sees one of those properties, already they know that you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver. Well, they should know that anyway, but you know, that they're going to, it gives us the potential of maybe getting 11, 12 jobs in a day, and obviously selling that back to the board is great. One of the other things with the photos was, if you look at that second hand in, was Mears have a family fun day for everyone once a year, and that's great news. It costs us a lot of money to actually put on, but what we do is we hire a theme park and everyone gets to go there and takes their family. Up until this point, that was something that happened and we never really talked about. What we're doing now is giving them a digital ticket that they actually use their phone. So one of the things we're doing is we're actually getting them to use their phone out of work hours, which is unheard of. And the other thing we're doing is saying, and while you're there, take a photo, post it up, and then, you know, we take the best ones of those and we share those out with Facebook, etc. And that's really good. And moving on to the next slide, I think I've just got one more slide actually. And I sound like a broken record, but this was the newsletter, and this was so important to us. We've got the key players from care, housing, and the students that are pushing a daily or weekly blog through. All they do is they just open up Connections, they write their blog really quickly, and then the end user gets this magazine every day that they can go in. It's just like looking at the BBC or CNN, and they can actually see stories that matter to them and getting that engagement back. So it's not just here's a story, it's here's a story, like it, comment on it as well. So that was really important to us. And I think if we move on, we've got some more sort of facts and figures. So this, I mean, this says exactly what it is delivering that business value. So you can see we've got a massive uptake at the moment. These figures are back from February. We report quarterly, so we've got the new figures coming out, but I can guarantee you that those figures have gone up from there as well. We're about to deploy out to the last part of the business soon, as in next week, and then the whole business will be on this, which is something unheard of for a company our size and what we've had previously with old-fashioned, you know, the occasional email and top-down messaging. Now we're having a carer in a branch in Aberdeen having as much of a voice back into the business as her CEO. So that's really important for us. So I think if you move on to the final slide there, there's just some more facts as well and figures. And you know, these figures don't lie; they just come out of the system. So you know, we've got a massive uptake. Connections was extremely difficult for us to get users to use, and this system has changed all of that. And yeah, we're extremely happy. And I think that's it from me. I don't think I have any more slides.
Okay.
Jan?
Well, thank you, Matt, for the overview. Scott, I was curious, do we have any questions in the tray from the audience? This is now a time we'll open it up. You know, obviously, our session here was to try to help you succeed. We hope that you can see some hope in your project efforts. Certainly, as you look at what Matthew's accomplished with Jan, it's a pretty compelling, exciting story, and one that we hope we can repeat with other customers and clients. So please let us know what you anticipate your project issues are, what's keeping you from having this kind of rapid success with your deployment, your line of business users. Any questions in the tray, Scott?
We do have some questions. So here's the first question. You are using a wrapper around Connections Cloud. How do you prevent users from accessing Connections lower level items using their browser or mobile app, and for example, to create new communities which you are not controlling or managing in the wrapper? So long question. Hopefully I've articulated that okay.
So is that to myself?
So that's open
Now,
to anyone. So I guess either
Yeah.
you or Jan would be able to answer that one.
So, I mean, from us, I mean, I'll let Jan talk more technical about it. From us, what we're doing is we're presenting as much information to that 90% of that user base that we see the majority of people like, comment, share, and view that information. And we worked with Jan to actually remove some of those deep links back. I mean, we still have those for some of the blogs, but what we wanted to do is make this a viewing and sharing platform. So as far as linking back out into Connections, we see it that if you're at that stage and you want to link out to Connections, then you're going to get a phone call from me because I want you to be a digital champion and start creating those blogs. So I kind of see that as a plus. But I'll hand over to Jan as more of a technical overview on it.
Yeah. So of course, if you're a Connections user, you can always go into Connections. As you saw, I have the club banner on top. But what we're trying to do here is keeping people in the same user experience as much as possible. So for instance, if you click on an image, you will not take into the Connections page in order to view that image. You're actually seeing that image straight away in the activity stream, for instance, or in a blog post or in a forum. And if you search for people, you are viewing a list of people in that mobile device or on that mobile device or in the workplaceON experience. Again, you can view that their contact information. You can click their phone number, it will start dialing the number. And so we're keeping people inside, but we're not preventing people from going to the Connections experience. But with all the 16,000 operatives, it's important that they have the same user experience all around and doesn't get confused with too many links, too many items that I can click on or view or get confused about, and what's a bookmark, what's a wiki, and all that stuff. So we're only showing them information that's relevant in this context that they're living in right now. So they're actually using Connections without knowing that they're using Connections.
Yeah, we don't really ever speak about the word Connections at all. You use MearsConnect, and those functions that are in MearsConnect are just available to you. We never really refer to you're now using Connections, now using workplaceON. It's just this is the tool. This is MearsConnect, and if you're a level of user that wants to start creating blogs, then yeah, you can hop out to Connections, and we implore that. So.
Okay.
And also, we added the feature of creating a community from a workplaceON page. So you don't have to go to Connections to create a community if that's what you're trying to achieve. So if you set up a page and you put on this widget that says create communities, you can just hit a button and automatically create that community, add the members, put the owner in as a business user, and then create a link on that page. So everything is done within workplaceON.
Okay, brilliant. So this next question is for, I believe it's going to be, yeah, definitely it's for Matthew. So how far along is Mears with deploying for all the employees?
So as of next week, every employee, we've got the care to go last. The care industry is massively different than the other industry as far as the churn rate is quite high. So getting that balance of who actually gets a device, the profit margins are a lot lower. So it's been a bit of a struggle trying to work out exactly how we get that message out to them. But the communications are going out next week, and from that point, every single user will be on MearsConnect.
Brilliant. That's quite an achievement. And what
we've had to do it slightly. So I'd say we've had to do it slightly different with the carers because we've had to go slightly more old-fashioned and use some print material to get their usernames and passwords, whereas with the other side of the business they're a bit more advanced. But yeah, we're there now, so that's good.
Okay, brilliant.
Now, when you say care, is that your home health care team or
yeah, exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Okay, so this is like visiting nurses, that sort of population. Yeah. How many of those do you have? 6,000 was it?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, it fluctuates, but that's the number that we kind of report out. And a lot of those users, yeah, they don't tend to have those high technical skills as far as being able to create those blogs. So, and we've actually trialed with a small percentage already, and you'd be surprised in how much more social they are. So actually, we're finding that the care part of the business is actually the ones that are really sort of loving talking and sharing ideas and thoughts with people. You see those are the ones that definitely like a lot more and comment a lot more. So that's good.
Great.
Excellent. Can you just do a quick recap of what your biggest challenges were, your business biggest technical challenges? And probably that's going to be a question for both you and Jan. Mm-hmm. But what were the biggest technical challenges in this whole process?
Well, the biggest technical challenges that we faced were more in that initial part of setting up kind of connections. The workplaceON, it's been a tiny team that have worked on this. We've had myself, a designer that's just sort of put the skin around that, and a web developer. The web developers only just applied CSS to this. Most designers would have the CSS knowledge to be able to do that. And then a small implementation team of 4. So as far as a technical challenge, we haven't really had some. I mean, Jan might disagree and say that we've pushed technical challenges on him, but as far as we're concerned, it really has been quite straightforward.
Yeah, I agree. The best to say now that you're here, Matt.
Perfect.
But coming to technical challenges, really there weren't that many actually, because the big unknown factor in this was the single sign-on solution.
Yeah.
And that turned out to be actually not that big a challenge after all. So the integration of Domino with something called F5 and the Connections Cloud using SAML, it actually was pretty easy. When we got the bits and pieces together, the right people to talk to each other, it was actually pretty easy to do this setup. Considering this is a setup for 20,000 people, where MearsConnect is just a small part of this whole infrastructure of single sign-on solutions.
We're coming up with ideas in communications all the time. We come up with some crazy ideas, and a few of those, the event blogging and those, and the turnaround time and the uptake's been nothing for Jan to be able to sort of do that. So yeah, we're good. We're very, very happy with how quickly things happen.
Okay, brilliant. A couple more questions already loaded up here. So how did you gain the support of senior management, and how did you really engage with them?
I mean, cost, being able to, we talked about the fun day. The fun day is very expensive, and it's not just holding the event, it's the actual printing out of the tickets and all of that side of things. And it's also the digital magazine, and we had a print magazine that went out to every single member of staff. Being able to go to the board and say, we've got a solution and it's going to save you X, and it was a significant amount of money to print. That was easy. That was the easy part. Getting the board to then understand that we needed social adoption and we wanted to get people chatting. That was a bit more of a struggle, but I think once we started to actually show that we've actually got people using it, and we can show these good news stories and things being shared, they came on board very quickly.
Okay, brilliant. And have you calculated any type of ROI from this investment?
Well, I think the engagement and the cost savings, that I would say that those are the kind of return on investment for us. It's actually getting, we've got a connected workforce. That's something that we haven't had in the past. We've not had people being able to have that voice. Mears has always been a very, just because we're a small company that have grown vastly, that have a few people at the top saying this is what's happening, and then that information gets filtered down, and actually that's not how they wanted it to be. It was just that that's how it was. And one of the main things our CEO does a weekly call. And that used to go to the senior managers filtered it down to the managers, and vice versa. Now that call gets loaded up onto MearsConnect straight away on Monday, and any single person can say back. Now, whether they will or not, if they want to talk directly to the CEO, but you do find that a few of them do, and a few people do. So an engaged workforce is our return on investment.
Right. Perfect. Let's see, I think I've got maybe one more question here. Yeah, no, I think we've covered all of them, actually. Let me just double check my list. I've expanded this out just to make sure. And yeah, all right. I think we have covered all of them. We're getting close to the time limit here. Okay. And so we don't want to run over too far. But if anyone does have questions that you didn't have time to ask, or want, maybe some more one-on-one time to go deeper in, here's all the contact information. So Peter, back to you.
Thanks, Scott. And special thanks to our speakers, directly Jan Zithan again, and Matthew. Thank you for taking your valuable time to share with other IBM customers how they can extend their investments. Obviously, you've done a great job of making that visible here between you and Jan, showing what done looks like, I think. And having spent 13 years selling IBM's portal and social software, we could paint great pictures, but showing them actually working technically was always a challenge. Candidly, it's amazing to me how deft this platform is, how quickly you guys have been able to make not only the content management and the social things resonate together in a more compelling way, but being able to show all this integration capability now through the partnership with AppFusion is just phenomenal. So from my view, I don't see anything really that I was ever selling in the big expensive WebSphere portal platform that I couldn't readily do here for a lot less cost and with incredible agility. Hopefully everybody else sees that as well. In the end, helping end users do everything they need to do with one sign-on and one compelling converged workplace is what workplaceON is all about. Hopefully you agree that's an end state we all need to aspire to. Please let us know if there's anything that you see in your future that you do not see addressed by workplaceON. Obviously, we're anxious to help, but even more, if you're seeing everything that you need, call us. We'll be there quickly to help you. We're experts not only in the technology, the platform meeting requirements, but also in adoption, organizational alignment, business value, helping you build the business case to sell exactly what needs to be done here. And I think we'd all agree this does need to be done for virtually every enterprise, every organization. Again, thank you all for your time. Very valuable commitment. We're going to follow up here from Scott. We'll send out a newsletter basically thanking you for the session and asking for some feedback. We will have, as the session is recorded, it will be available to you to share with your colleagues. We recognize should you want to embark on one of these investments, you need some help. We're here to help you package, help you present, whatever we can do to help you communicate the potential value here. That's what we're here for. Thanks again. Scott, do you want to wrap it up, or is that end of job?
That's it. We're all good. Again, thank you, Matthew and John and Peter, for preparing this presentation. Very insightful, and I think it's a great option for people to consider, given the fact with the success that Mears has had. So again, thank you for everyone for attending, and we'll have the recorded session probably available tomorrow. So thank you again, and have a great day, everybody.